much more pleased with the way our guys played tonight in terms of execution as much as anything, and a lot of respect for Coach Henry and the Georgia Southern program, and really good team. Some of those players, Deuce Dean was in here last year, and it really hurt us when he was at Hampton, so we knew what kind of player he was. He just, as a program, has got great respect for them, their players, and their coaching staff. As far as our guys, I thought our guys answered the challenge that we put in front of them, a little bit over 24 hours ago after our loss to Northeastern, particularly defensively, and that's where all our emphasis has been. And obviously Brandon Johnson makes a huge difference on our team.
Coach, you stated in your opening statement about the changes defensively. Georgia Southern scored 90 last night, and you held them to 64 today. So what were the major changes that you saw tonight?
We guarded the ball better. We were in the gaps better. The floor got so open last night or yesterday afternoon versus Northeastern. The floor just got so open. Our help defense, we started playing, you can't hug up to guys on the backside of the floor. You got to be able to recover on skip passes and recover on drives, but you can't play hugged up on the backside. And Northeastern had some shooters. Northeastern ran some good off-ball cutting actions, and so I think our guys started, it's almost like a magnet, they started pulling over there when the ball was on the strong side and we were hugged up on the weak side. We did spend a lot of time preparing for Georgia Southern, obviously. Our coaching staff did an incredible job getting our guys just ready for because it's two totally different styles of play. Northeastern and Georgia Southern, two totally different. But we probably, in a tournament setting, this is the most that I've been a part of, spending time on what we had to do, even though we have an opponent in less than 24 hours. Last night, we knew we had to try and fix some things. And again, I will say this, our guys really executed a lot of things yesterday well. We could not finish possessions with rebounds. Brandon makes a huge difference for us in that regard, a really big difference. And he quarterbacks our defense with his voice and with his mind and with his physical ability to go rebound the ball. And that has been missing the last two games, obviously. The 3 games we've had Brandon Johnson, we've held the teams in the 60s. The 2 games we haven't, teams have been in the 80s. And that's not necessarily going to stay the course the whole way. We got to find other guys that can do that. But obviously that is a huge impact of our defense. But with that being said, guys like Brandon, Quentin, Bobby, Ezra, Jaden, Caleb, Sear, the way they defended, there was a defensive mindset as a unit tonight.
We've seen RJ take over a game. We've seen Brandon take over a game. Tonight it was Quentin. Just your thoughts on his game tonight?
Yeah, I think he did it because he realized after our film session last night, we had a really lengthy film session last night, and we had another one this morning. I think Quentin realized, like all our guys did, that the mentality coming into the game, if we have a shot, it's going to be because we're solid on defense. Doesn't mean we're going to be perfect. Doesn't mean we're going to we have a long, long way to go, obviously. But if the mind is on defense, I said this right sitting at this table when RJ played well. When I've said it, if you come in with the mentality that we have to play defense, we have to execute our defensive system, and we have to rebound the basketball. I think they had 4 offensive rebounds tonight. I think it's 4. 13 last night, 4 tonight. Makes a huge difference on who we are defensively if we rebound the basketball.
Which I was going to ask, in a setting like this, does it have to be all film work basically as far as from game to game or really learning? Like, are y'all just doing that versus like on the court in between games?
Yeah, it's definitely primarily film work. You don't have time. You don't the physical aspect of it. You can't get out. I would love to run up and down for 2 hours of practice today, but you can't. So what you do is you just got to show it. You got to watch it. We really watched at length a lot of stuff from the Northeastern game, and we tried to make it applicable to what we were going to see tonight. We'll do the same thing. We'll watch film of us tonight and try and make it applicable as best as possible towards Kennesaw State, a really good team that hasn't lost a game yet in this tournament. And so we understand that it's a really good team. I believe going into tonight or yesterday, the #1 pace of play in terms of tempo in the country was Kennesaw State, in terms of how fast they'll play in transition, how fast they'll shoot the basketball. So we understand what a challenge it's going to be for our defense. Going into tonight's game, transition defense was a key. I thought we did a pretty solid job in transition. It'll even be more so tomorrow.
Brandon seemed a little tired out there. Obviously, he's coming off not being able to practice or play. How do you feel like his conditioning was, and how do you feel like he pulled through when he wasn't feeling his best?
I thought he pulled through fantastic. I think you hit it on the head, and he would be the first if he was sitting here to say, yeah, a little tired, probably, not in the shape, because when you take whatever it was, many days off, I mean, Brandon hasn't had any contact in practice. Tonight was his first. So he has just been kind of conditioning on his own. So proud of him. RJ had a defensive mentality today. Ezra, defensive mentality. Ezra doesn't, he gets banged up. He bangs his knee coming out, off of a screen. But defensively, he just played like, hey, I just want to play defense and I want to be the leader of this defense. He kept talking to the guys in the huddles. He kept talking to the guys on the court. So that's what we do. RJ, Jaden, Caleb, Brandon doing what he did. That's who we got to be. And again, I'm going to say it, we have a long, long way to go, but we're going to get there.
Callum and Sear both played 8 minutes tonight, and Callum got more minutes than he has before. What did you see from him and as well as Sear?
Well, they do it every day in practice. And not knowing if we were going to have Brandon, it was really a game time decision. We said, hey, you know what? Those guys do it. They've earned their opportunity. I mean, that's what practice is about. You earn the opportunity. And I thought Sear has been earning it. I thought Sear came in and did some nice stuff today. Cal, that's why I told Cal early this morning, Cal, be ready. You're going in tonight in the first half. You be ready, because in our rotation that I had, you're going to get in there. So I was very proud of what Cal and Sear did. And the best part about it is you see how much the guys pull for those guys. How excited they were for Sear, how excited they were for Cal, it started with our point guards, Bobby and Caleb, with their defensive mentality, and I thought it trickled all the way down, to everybody. And it's just, I hope that's who we can be all the time. It's not easy, but I tell you that's what we're striving for.
You guys had 9 steals tonight. Is that sort of like an indicator you're looking at too, just being active on that end of the floor?
Yeah, sometimes steals are a byproduct of good activity. We definitely don't ever go into games saying, hey, we got to go get steals. We want deflections, and we want positional steals. I'll tell you, one of the biggest plays of the game was, late last 4 minutes or so, last 4 or 5 minutes, and Ezra gets that jump ball in the gap. He's in the gap, and they drive it, and he's in the gap, and he goes in. I mean, that made the coaching staff and the bench very excited, because Ezra was playing right to scouting report and doing something that we really emphasized. And you know what? I think he got really excited about it. And when we keep getting really excited about the little things, those kind of things, I think that's what's going to give this team a chance to be its best.
Y'all preach that defense as a staff, but I guess it takes the players to really buy into it, embrace that on the court to really pay off, right?
I think Stephen, if I could put a uniform on, I would. I think I'm in a stance quite a bit during the game. It's just so I would love. The coaching staff would love to, but I promise you, if this coaching staff played defense right now in this, we'd be the worst defense in the country.
That's how one more.
Obviously you can see the dejection after the Northeastern and the Upstate game. So how does a win like this kind of give this group confidence again going into tomorrow night against a really good opponent?
Well, we talked about that actually, just what you said. Dejected, yes, it was really a pissed off team. It was an angry team, it was an angry coaching staff, and it was an angry head coach. I mean, there was a lot of anger, but we've talked about this. You can't go back to yesterday. And we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But what we did talk about as a team is, if we are who we want to be, our best version of ourselves today, what you do is have a chance to feel a little bit better about yesterday because you learned from it, and it gives you a little bit of optimism and positivity going into tomorrow. And that's all you can control. As much as I would love to get in that DeLorean and punch the clock in and go back in time to yesterday and change the game, you can't do it. And we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but if we did play the way we wanted to today, you can feel just a tad better about learning from yesterday, and you can feel better going in tomorrow knowing, hey, there's clarity on what we got to try and do versus Kennesaw State.